everyone. So as promised, I'm gonna give you my recipe for gumbo, but let me throw a disclaimer in there. By no way, shape, or form am I a perfectionist cook, okay? And the ingredients that I give you for gumbo, people can put other things in, or sometimes maybe somebody doesn't use the things that I use in mine, but this is the way that I make it, this is the way I like it. Therefore, because you asked, I'm going to show you. And I'm one of the type of cooks that I don't know all the measurements, so I'll try to be as precise as I can. So here we go. So first you want to get your pot. I call it my witch's cauldron. I'd say this is about a 2.5 gallon size pot. Okay, so these are my vegetables chopped. I have maybe, I think it's called stalk. I used maybe about 8 stalks of the parsley and half of a medium onion and 4, I don't know what you call it, 4 stems or 4 things of green onions. I told you guys I'm not very good when it comes to measurements because I was taught by women in Louisiana from my mom and my grandmother, so this is how I do it. So I've used 4 of these, and my vegetables have been pre-washed, by the way. And for sausages, this is the best kind to use for gumbo. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's andouille or something like that, but it comes in 2 and it's about $3, but this is the best kind to use, and this is what I always use for my gumbo. And you just chop those up, and I think I'm going to use all 4 links. Okay, you guys, so I cut up my sausages, and I actually only used 3 links because I forgot I do want to put some spicy ones in, so I only used 3. And if you wonder why I use so much, it's because the pot that we use is pretty big. Almost forgot to show you, these are the hot links that I use, and I'll probably just, it comes in a pack of 8, so I'll probably only use 4 links, and they're smaller, so I'll cut those up also. Okay, hot links and sausages are cut up right now. I'm just gonna set this aside. No, actually I'm gonna put it in the refrigerator so it can stay cold until I need it. And chicken, I'm only gonna use about 10 pieces. Okay, you guys, here's the chicken. I take the skin off of the chicken because if you don't, your gumbo will be really greasy. So this is one of the tricks I learned from one of my aunts. I'm going to use 2 pounds of shrimp, peeled and deveined, and you can go ahead and set this aside. I'll put it in the refrigerator because you won't need it until dead last. Also 2 pounds of crab, broken apart in pieces so it's easier to fit in the pot. So you're going to want to go ahead and put this in the refrigerator because this you won't need until last also. So the seasonings I use, you can use anything you choose to, but this is mainly what I use for all of my food that I cook. The Creole seasoning, and I just put a little bit of salt in there, and gumbo filet, but we're not gonna use that until a little bit later. So this is what I seasoned my chicken with, and I already have it in there, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, so my chicken is in the pot, and I don't have the stove on yet, and I went ahead and put my vegetables in, but you don't fill up the pot with water. You want to fill it maybe halfway or almost to the top, because remember, you still have to put your shrimp and all the sausages in it and the crab, and it's going to make the water rise up, and you can always put more water in later. So I'm going to get started with the gravy. Okay, you guys, I actually went ahead and turned my pot on low because you want the water to start getting hot in your pot. And this is the part that you really need to not be distracted with making the gravy. We call it roux. About 1 cup of oil, 1 cup of flour. And this is what's going to make your gravy. Normally when I get to this part, I just sit here at the stove because if it burns, you usually have to start over again. So you mix it and just keep cooking it on low until the gravy gets like a dark brown. So you want to make sure you mix your gravy really good. And this is way too light. Sure, there's a healthier version or healthier way to make the gravy. I don't know it, and plus it may not be as good. So this is what the Southerners call roux, and it's just a oil and flour base. So, okay, so you see how the gravy is even darker, and you may think, oh, that's fine. No, you still want it darker than that. Okay, you guys, you see how it's really dark? This is how you wanted it. And thanks to my assistant Savannah, who's holding the camera, I'm able to use both of my hands. So I may let it get a little bit darker before I put it in. The good thing about this is if you make too much, my grandmother always used to save it, the roux, for the next time she would make maybe like smothered pork chops or smothered chicken or anything else like that that needed a brown gravy base. Okay, so a little bit darker, you guys, and then this will be done. This is one of the longest parts of cooking the gumbo, that and preparing all the shrimp and the sausages. And you want to make sure, like I said, that you pay attention to this part because this can burn and then you'll have to start all over. Okay, you guys, so now that the roux is the deep dark color that I like, I'm going to go ahead and turn the stove off and bring the camera over here, Savannah. And as you can see, my water is starting to boil, but you don't want it to boil too much. And when I put the roux in, it's going to sizzle a little bit, and that's what you want. And give that a stir.
I never knew that.
Put it over here. And see how it's still really light? So you continue adding the roux. Okay, you guys, so I put all the gravy in here, well, the roux mixture, and the chicken is in there cooking, and the vegetables, and I'm just gonna let that cook before I add the sausages. So the sausages will be next, but I'm gonna let the chicken cook a little bit more before I put the sausages in. So see how your gravy, you want a really dark gravy, so that's the reason why you let your roux cook until it's almost like a chocolate brown, I'd say. Okay. Okay, you guys, so at this point, you want to taste your gravy, and I'll put it in a separate spoon here, and you want to see if it is flavorful enough. That definitely needs more seasoning. So, like I said, I use Creole seasoning in the majority of my food, so I will just add some more in there. And it's a big pot, so that may look like it's a lot, but I may end up having to put some more in there. And I turned my heat down on my pot a little bit because you don't want it to boil. You want it to almost slow cook. Almost. Okay. Another taste. Nope. Still needs a little more.
I didn't know.
Yes, I always put quite a bit. You didn't know that?
You put Creole seasoning.
And put a little bit of salt. And I'll probably let that cook a little bit more and taste it again just to make sure it gets all in there. All right, you guys, let's taste this again. Almost. And there's no specific amount, it just to taste, and I like it kind of spicy, so that's the reason that I add more. But right now I'm going to add the sausages, you guys, so that can get in there. Okay, so you just want to add that in, and you see how the water is getting higher. That's the reason why you don't add too much water in there in the beginning, because you still have to add all of your other ingredients. The chicken in there is almost done. So look at that, you guys. It is starting to look so good. This is going to be delicious. Okay, you guys, here's where you use the gumbo filet. Now, once again, and you can get any kind of gumbo filet. It doesn't have to be this brand, but I normally get, if it'll focus, I normally get Cajun's Choice. And right there, it just says Louisiana Foods. There we go, you guys. So that's the gumbo filet that I use, and it just gives it a good gumbo taste, and it also is a thickener. So once again, because I'm not good at measurements or anything like that, I was taught by my mom and my grandmother. I just eyeball it. Okay, give that a stir, and I may put a little bit more. I'll let that cook a little bit, then I'll taste it, and I may put a little bit more. Okay, you guys, so I did put more gumbo filet in there, and if I had to give it a measurement, I would say 1 tablespoon. Yeah, that's about all you need for a pot this size. So after it cooked about 30 minutes on a low heat, I just now added my crab, and I'm going to let that cook down. Well, not cook down, but cook a little bit before I add the shrimp. The shrimp is the last thing that you add because it cooks really quick. So I just added my shrimp, and as you can see, it's starting to cook already. So in about another 30 minutes this will be done, and you just eat it over rice. All right, you guys, that is all. That is it. Gumbo is done, and like I said, you just eat it over rice like a soup. And there we go. That's the kind of Tabasco sauce we used. All right, you guys, that's it. That is the gumbo. It's really hot in here, but anyway, I've heard some people put oysters in it. Some people I've even heard put mushrooms in it. I don't know, I don't think I would eat it with mushrooms, but anyway, so if you make it, let me know how it came out for you. If you have any questions, if I wasn't able to give you the directions thorough enough, let me know, because I was taught by my mom and my grandmother, and they didn't use measuring cups for anything. You watch and you learn. That's how I learned how to cook for the majority of my foods. So anyway, thank you for watching. Give this video a thumbs up and let me know if you made it and how it turned out. Thanks, you guys. Bye.